morning, and thank you for joining Marketing Moms. We are the podcast that is meant to make marketing easier for you. And today actually is going to be really good because we're going to talk about streamlining the marketing process. So I think this can be very helpful for you if you're trying to do marketing on your own. That's the goal, is to make this easy for you. So I'm Ann Brennan.
And I'm Anastassia Van Greshaby.
And we're Marketing Moms. We're here to help you. I do want to remind you before we start that you can subscribe on YouTube and you can ask questions. If you ask questions, we will take those questions and we'll answer them either in the comments, or if it's a really, really good question. So no pressure there, but if it's a really, really good question, we'll put it on the show and talk about what we'll answer those questions live on the show, create a whole thing based on that. We actually did that just a few days ago. I guess last week or the week before we talked about reviews, and we did that not based on a comment, but based on something one of my children said. So similar thing though, that he's been asking questions about what we're doing, and that led to a show. So yeah, we love that. It makes it easy for us, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point. We should do a Luna report before we start. Sad to say, Luna is still a pain in my ass. Honestly, the only real report that I have is that it's just because it's so funny that it happened today. Blaze is taking this afternoon off, or this morning off, and he is actually taking a whole day off. And Luna was upstairs making a ridiculous amount of noise, and I was trying to work, and I said, maybe you should let her out soon because she's going to be in the crate for a lot of the afternoon. And right when I hit to come into StreamYard so I could record this, he let her out of the crate. I was like, that couldn't be the worst, there couldn't be worse timing, really. So you might see him back here. If you're watching this live, you might see him out on the deck back here with the dog, because she has been banned from the house for the time being.
He's out there with us. It's going to start raining, and then they're going to be like, let us in, let us in.
I know. No, I've locked the door, so
No,
they're not coming in. No,
they're
too
out.
bad. Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. Anastasia, you got anything new?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, my sister's really upset with me because she wanted me to be like, so I plan a lot of things, I mean, I help here with the business and do a lot of planning. And I used to, when we went on vacation, I had like a very set plan. And then we started doing these road trips, and I was like, you know what? I'm not booking anything, because what if we decide we get somewhere and then we decide we're going to go further? We're like,
Right.
we did do that actually. And I think that this actually came as a result of a road trip that we did, almost 7 years ago. And on the way, we were driving back from Colorado to Maryland, and we were going to stop in Kansas. And it was 10 hours from my father-in-law's house to Lawrence, Kansas, I think. And we got there, and the kids were kind of sleepy, but Kurt and I weren't. And so we were like, you know what? St. Louis is like 2.5 hours. Like, maybe we should try and push it and get all the way to St. Louis. And so we were doing a 14.5-hour day in the car. And so from then on, and then from then we were like, you know what? Let's just go to Memphis and go and see Gracelands. And so that's kind of that's how we roll now. Like, I'm like, okay, we kind of have like a little bit of a plan. And if there are things that we have to book because other people are involved, then we will. Or if it's like a holiday or something, then we'll make sure that we have, accommodation. But so we're going to Greece. And my sister's like, hey, like, she's a planner. And she happened in her, before children, she was a travel agent. So
okay. Yeah. So she really wants to plan.
She really likes a plan. And so she's like, what are we doing? Like, are we going to go meet up? And I'm like, you know what? Finally, I said to her, because I haven't gotten around to it. It's been over a week that she's been asking me. I'm like, why don't we just meet up in the village? You do you, we'll do us, and we'll meet you. Because I'm like, I don't want to make a plan. I like the way that we do these vacations, because it might be a little bit stressful when we're like, oh my gosh, like, we have nowhere to stay, but we'll find somewhere.
Well, I will say we made plans in last minute, but we made plans in New Zealand, for New Zealand. And I thought I had it all worked out. And then the day before, we were going to go to Auckland, and then we were going to come back to go see the Shire, so Hobbiton. And I don't know why I did that. And we literally drove through the town where Hobbiton was. And we're like, oh no, we're just going to get a hotel. But meanwhile, I had a hotel in Auckland as well.
Yeah.
So we ended up double paying, which kind of sucked, but it was better than getting up the next morning and trying to drive back. So we
Yeah.
decided to do
So I
that.
mean, there's
So,
just, yeah. So that's my thing. I'm like, my sister's a little, she's
yeah.
because she loves.
Whereas we are completely planned for the summer. We know everything we're doing, even down to the shows. Oh gosh, by the way, I will tell you real quick, I do have something to add.
Oh.
We went to a show last night. We went to see a Monster Calls at the Kennedy Center. And I was really nervous about it because it was about a young boy, he's 13 years old, and his dad had left and gone to America and his a long time ago. So he's grown up with his mom his whole life, and she is dying, and it's very clear she is dying from the beginning. And so I was like, oh my God, after having just lost my dad, I just can't imagine how this is going to go. But it was beautifully done, and it was like not just beautifully, the story was beautiful, but the set was neat, and the way they acted it out was neat, and the music was everything about it was so cool. And it's at the Kennedy Center, but at the Kennedy Center they have multiple theaters, and so we were in the Eisenhower Theater, which is one of their smaller ones, so it's much more intimate feeling, and it was neat. It was really, really, I loved it. So if you get a chance to go see that, and last night there were,
Center.
huh?
I've never been to the Kennedy Center.
Oh, it's lovely. And last night there were tons of empty seats. So my bet is that you could figure out, I think there's probably half price seats if you show up late. You know what I mean? So I bet at least there are in New York. So I bet they do something like that here, I would guess. So anyway, there are a lot of people buying tickets last night. So
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know I saw that on Canada. I was like, oh, what's up?
yeah, I know. It's so
Megan and I, our calendars are synced. Well, we put everything about our personal life in our work calendar because we realize that it's just easier, that we know what each other is up to so that we can make plans for the business.
Exactly.
And it's like, so I'm like, I don't care. You can know everything about me. I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah, exactly. And I have no secrets. So all right. So we're going to talk about one of the things that has been on my mind lately is how to streamline your marketing process. Because what happens is I talk to clients and I'll tell them, this one little thing, or I talk to potential clients and I'll tell them this one little thing and say, oh, if you did this, and they're so amazed. And for us, it's like, this is what we do. It's not like, I mean, how did you not know this? But it's easy to forget that people don't know exactly what we do, right? And they don't know how to do it. And because it's not their job. And that's what to keep in mind. People hire us. I was thinking about this earlier. People hire us because it's not their job to do the marketing. They need it done, but it's not their job to do it. So they hire us to do it. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to talk. I don't know. Did you just hear that? Luna and Blaze have come inside now, and Luna has done something naughty in another room, and I just heard a big yell. So she's doing something bad. Anyway, interrupting the show and everything. That's par for the course. Anyway, we do this every day, and so this is our job. You can still do it. I'm not saying don't, but if you can hire, go ahead and do that. If you can't hire, you need to figure out how to streamline your process. And that's what we're going to give you today. And just a few easy steps, some things that you probably haven't thought of. I'm always surprised by it when people haven't, but you'll get it.
I think streamline and it makes something that you may be like just dreading.
Right.
To being something a little bit more enjoyable, because if you can't, here's the thing, marketing is a must. It is an absolute must. You have to market your business. You don't have to social media market. You don't have to email market. Like, there's not ways that you have to do it, but you have to market, whether you're doing it in person at networking events or you're doing what we talk about, but you have to do something. Your business will not thrive and grow if you're not marketing. So having some processes and will take a little bit of that pain away when you have to do it.
Absolutely. So I like this. You said, because I was coming up with like kind of nitty gritty things, and you're like, wait. You have to have a process first.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's something that we pride ourselves on. Like, we have a very clear process for creation. We sat down. I think it was the day that I actually had COVID and I was at your house not knowing that I had COVID. And we came up with that process. Like, what is this process? Is this process set in stone? Absolutely not. It is fluid. You can't, especially in the type of business that we're in, where technology is making changes, you have to kind of stay on top of that and see and stay with that. So there are some tweaks that we do, but we have a very clear process from start to finish on what marketing for a client looks like.
Right, exactly. It is, and it's really important that you have that process, that you know what it is, and that you're not recreating the wheel every single time you sit down, right? Because here's the thing, we do this every single day, so it's easy for us. We've been doing it for a long time. We know how to do it. It's easy. Well, if you are not doing it on a regular basis, every time you sit down, you kind of have to think about, what do I do again? If you have a process, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You can say, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to create, this is how I would do it if I were you. I am going to create a blog. I'm, or 2 or 3, I'm going to create a blog. From that blog, I'm going to pull out a bit to go into a newsletter that sends them back to the blog. I am also going to pull out multiple posts for social media, and I'm going to schedule those out. So I'm going to have a process. What am I going to do each time? I'm going to create the blog. I'm also going to create a video about the blog, basically saying the exact same thing I said in there. Maybe I'm going to create a podcast about it. So what's that process look like to you? So that you're not just trying to figure it out as you fly, right? You're just not doing it flying by the seat of your pants and going, oh, I think I'll do this today. No, have a process. I write a blog, I send the newsletter, I do the social media, I do the video. What do I do?
Yeah. And the thing is too, is what we've been talking about this for as long as we've been doing this podcast, is making sure that you are scheduled out. So if
Yes.
you are sitting down and creating content for your business for 3 months, or even, if you're inspired and you have a few days and you're like, I'm going to sit down and do this, you could do it for 6 months, for a year,
Right.
What happens the next time you sit down? Because you're going to forget. So make sure that you know what those steps are, document
Absolutely.
what you're doing, and then tweak it each time you do it.
Absolutely.
Like, this worked, this didn't work. Like, what did I find that made it easier? So if you're going to do it yourself, you need to keep track of what you're doing.
Absolutely. And you know what you just said is so true. I didn't create something for this, a banner for this, but I want to say that we don't create one blog post. I never sit down and write one blog post. I sit down and write 8 blog posts. Like, at a minimum, I sit down and write 4. Right? I just created the newsletters for all of our clients through the end of the summer. It took me several days, but I did it because I wanted to know that they are scheduled out. If something happens, we're going to Maine, my trip to Maine, something happens and I can't get back in time, that's okay. They're covered. Their newsletter is going to go out whether I'm here or not, right? So you want to have those things scheduled out. It's really important. But social media, use a scheduler. If you want to save time, and I know people were like, oh, but that means I got to sit down and I've got to schedule it. I'd much rather, I just had somebody say this. I wake up every morning and decide what I'm going to post and I put it up. I'm like, first of all, that's what you're thinking about today. It might not be necessarily what needs to go out on social media. And you can still do that. You can still wake up every morning and create something if you want to, right? That's a bonus. But if something happens and the baby's throwing up all night long and you can't get up the next morning to create something, you're not skipping a day because you've got it out on a scheduler. So use a scheduler. And honestly, I used to give you choices. I used to say, oh, here are all these things you can use. But the truth is, we love Zoho Social. We don't get anything from them. We're not an affiliate. We don't have anything that we're getting. We just love what they do. We love how it works, and we love that it always works, right? It's there for you. It's going to work for you. So use something like Zoho Social. If you want to choose something different, by all means do it, but we love Zoho Social.
Yeah.
So, do you want to say a little bit about schedulers, or why you found them helpful?
So I think my main point for using a scheduler is that you need to sit down and understand mean, I've said this before. Why is your phone ringing? What are the keywords that your business has? So you're creating posts that are related to those things that people are looking for. What are their pain points? Not your pain points, your customers' pain points. What are their pain points? So therefore, you've got those things to be scheduling. If you're just waking up and posting about the day, that's awesome. If you have something that also matters to your audience, I mean,
Right. Exactly.
it depends on your brand. We've talked about this before. Like if your brand is just all, flowers and love and gratitude, and you wake up and you're like, thank God the sun is shining, or thank God the rain is falling and it's cleaning the earth and watering the trees, and that's what your brand is. Awesome. Then totally do that, but you can actually schedule that too. So I don't know why. It just makes your life easier. It gives you
Absolutely.
consistency. If you're going to do it, what I would suggest is schedule your post for later on in the day, because then
Yes.
you can put one up in the morning and then one will go up automatically in the afternoon. So,
Absolutely.
and when
Yeah. Well, and
it's done well, put it up again another time.
exactly. And we've told you this too, just so you know. We've said this before. When you're scheduling, I want you to think about your week. You've got 7 days in the week. How are you going to divide that? We work with quality remodeling, their biggest, most profitable item or service is roofing, right? So roofing's going to go up 3 or 4 days a week for them, even though they do windows and they do doors and they do siding and they do gutters. They have 7 things they do. I could put one a day up. I don't do that. Why don't I do that? Because roofing's what matters. Roofing is the thing that they need the most of. So that's what we're pushing,
Roofings are
right?
so we're pushing it. We're educating. So the posts aren't always sell, sell, sell. It's,
Right.
hey, have you gone outside and looked at your roof? Like I had a leak in my house. The first thing I did, because we do the marketing for quality remodeling, is I went outside and I looked to see if there was any visible damage to my roof.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
a clear post. Granted, it wasn't that. It's a whole other story.
Right.
But
But yeah, but I mean, today we're getting storms, right?
yeah,
Well, after the storm, you want to go out and you want to check your roof. So these are things that, I have them scheduled. The other thing that we have scheduled, we put them in. The nice thing about using a scheduler is we can create posts. There's a post created for every one of our clients that is storm related.
mhm.
So today we'll go into our drafts. So it's there. And we'll say, okay, well, it's raining today. Let's make sure this one gets scheduled.
Mhm.
Right. So that people will go out for whatever reason. If it's chimneys, it's chimney leaks. If it's roofing, it's, check your roof, whatever it is. If it's landscaping, do you have puddles in your yard? So we've created something for all of those. We've created something for snow days. It's in drafts. We don't necessarily schedule that out, but we use the scheduler to keep track of it. Right.
Yeah.
Um, Also, the scheduler allows you to repeat your evergreen posts. Okay. It's really important to repeat your evergreen posts. Those are the posts that don't change. Roofing doesn't really change. Now, it does in the winter. You might not be posting the same winter pictures that you post in the summer, but throughout the summer, you can post the same sorts of posts or even the same absolute same post multiple times throughout the summer, right? We post things once a month for ourselves multiple times. And what that does for us is it gives us the benefit of being able to say, oh, we're going to put up one post about our services. We're going to put up a post about our quotes. We're going to put up a post about our podcast. We're going to post about our blog. I'm missing one. We usually post about 5 times a day.
Yeah.
But the point is that it allows me to schedule multiple things out if I'm repeating things without having to go in and figure out, 365 times 5,
Mhm.
right?
Well, one
Posts.
of the ladies that I went to see at Social Media Marketing World, one of the speakers, she said that 5 years ago, she sat down and created a mind map for her business and came up with 100 days of posts.
Right.
She has been repeating those 100 days of posts for the last 5 years. They're not
Right.
exactly the same because she does see like the ones that are not doing so great, she'll go in and like tweak them because she's just monitoring what she's putting up on Facebook. But when she is so successful, she's a speaker she's got multiple businesses that she's doing this for herself. She herself owns multiple businesses, and she does it for clients as well. I don't know how she has time because she has all these kids too. But anyway, so she's saying 5 years out of 100 posts.
Yes, absolutely. So repeat
So,
your post. I think that's the one that surprises most people when I say repeat your, the two that surprise people the most. I say repeat your posts, and I say schedule your newsletters out for a year. And even if you're not scheduling every single one of them, think about the ones that you are. The regular email marketing, you can schedule out. You know you're going to send one at Christmas. You know you are, right? You know you're going to send one at Thanksgiving. Absolutely. Just go ahead and put it in, create it and put it in. And guess what? Put it in for next year too, because nobody's going to remember they got this particular one from you this year and this particular one for you next year. And if you're a little worried, change it a little bit, and that's fine. Just you'll be covered if you do that. It's the two really big things. I want to talk about insights, and I want to talk about insights. We talk about them a lot, but pay attention to your insights. And when we say this, we don't just mean what's on Facebook and what's on LinkedIn and all of those as to what people are liking, but pay attention. Who's commenting? What are those people saying? What are they actually responding to? What are the kind of posts? Like, I had a guy who's like, I hate posts. People put up dogs. Dogs are so stupid. And well, we put up dogs or cats for him it's not like we do it randomly, but we do it and something will happen. We realize, God, your audience loves dogs. And if we can make a dog relate to your product, then let's use that. But we also talking about, where's that business coming from? When somebody calls you, did they see it on Facebook? Are you paying attention to whether they saw it on Facebook? Is it coming from, here's something to keep in mind. Is it coming from your referral partners, right? It could be coming from your referral partners because your referral partners are reminded of you on Facebook. We just literally got a new client, and it happened because she sees our social media posts so often. And she says, I see your social media posts so often, and you do such a great job for yourself. I know you can do a good job for me. That's awesome. That was perfect, right? So I had to write that down because it'd be really easy for me to forget. The truth is, 2 other people had recommended her to us, right? So I put it in as a referral in my system. But the truth is, I also had to put her in as Facebook. She saw us on Facebook and she loved what we were doing, right? So pay attention to those insights. So, any other thoughts on insights, Anastasia?
I would think, look at what you're posting and why the phone is ringing, right? So,
Yeah.
we send these emails out when it's raining for certain clients. And the reason we do that is because the phone rings afterwards. And so
Right.
that's an insight to look at. We put up these, Anne said, we have these drafts that we've saved in there for weather, whether it's snow in the winter or rain, rain all year long, really. Rains a lot in Maryland if you're not from Maryland. So we put these posts up because it makes the phone ring. People see
Right.
it, they realize, it happens on the day where they're like, oh my gosh, my ceiling's leaking. Is it the roof? Is it the chimney? Is it, for me, it was the HVAC. Like, what is causing this leak?
Right.
And by having that post and it's relevant at that moment, then so that's an insight that you need to pay attention to also. Like, you've put that up, the phone has rung, why?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And we actually have trained our clients. We're like, hey, your email's going out today. Pay attention to the phones. Are they ringing? Right. And email marketing is so huge. We're actually going to do a whole episode just on email marketing and why you should be implementing that, especially right now while the economy is a little iffy. All right. So I'm going to let you talk about this, Anastasia. And the reason why I want you to talk about organizing your files and why it matters. The reason I want you to talk about it is because you've created for us as part of our process when we onboard a client. One of the first things you do is you create a shared file with the client, but you also create other folders in there. So talk a little bit about why that makes your life easier.
Yeah. So when we were planning this, I was telling Ann, I'm like, when you are doing your finances, you're keeping your receipts, your accounts, like accounts payable, accounts receivable, all those things are categorized so that you can keep track, right? So the same thing needs to happen with your marketing. We create folders for logos because you know what? Most people don't even know where the heck their logo is. So have a
Oh
folder
gosh.
specifically for your logo. Have a folder for the graphics that you've made.
Actually, can I interrupt you a minute and say something about the logos? The logos too. One thing that we'll see is they don't label them. They get them from the person who created them, and then they don't label it. Like, you don't have to keep the name that the person who sent it to you gave it. You can change it and say this logo. You can say transparent logo,
Yeah.
right? If that helps you find it transparent. This is the black and white one. This is the color one. This is the social media profile one, right? Because that's a smaller file. This is the high res. So name them in a way that makes sense to you too.
Yeah.
So
And
within those files.
have every single version of your logo, because at some point you'll
Yes,
need it. Okay. So you have
exactly.
logos. You have, we keep a file for stock photos versus photos provided from the client, because listen, let me tell you, stock photos don't perform as well as photos that are, organic photos. So we keep those separate so that we can use them as much as possible. We keep a graphics by a folder and a videos folder. And so that way it's when you're saving it, you know exactly where to put it. And when you're looking for something, it's there. So
Right.
we have a process in that we have Jordan, who is our quality control. She edits every single thing that comes through from everybody. And so sometimes she needs to do something with the image. So she'll go and find it, and she finds it in the folder, and then she can replace it if it needs to be replaced, or if she's trying to reschedule, she can do that as well. More so before, than Zoho Socials made that process a lot easier. But yeah, so I think that those are definitely things that you need to keep organized, because if you have them organized, then you're not going to have the problems. Again, recreating the wheel. Like, this is what we're
Right.
constantly talking about. Having a process just helps you not have to recreate the wheel every time. And
Right.
if you're doing what we're telling you and scheduling far out in advance, in 3 months, you're busy. You're not gonna remember. This is not your wheelhouse. If
Right.
marketing is not something that you absolutely love and enjoy and can't wait to do, then you'll forget how it was, and then you won't do it.
Absolutely. And it's a frustration. I will tell you, when I'm on the phone with a client and we're trying to onboard them, and I'm like, I need your logos, and they're like, I don't know where they are. And then they send me one. I just had this happen. They send me one that is just the lowest res possible. It looks horrible when we try to use it. And I have to go back and say, well, what about when they sent it to you? Because you just had this redone. The graphic designer sent it to you. Oh, I don't know where that is. And then they have to go into their emails and they have to figure it out. And it takes time, and not just time, it causes stress. I can see them stressing. It's sort of like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't add this password the password
And I
folder."
just have that
For
too.
crying out loud, use a password vault. We use 1Password. It's a huge time saver because I don't have to stress about it. Catch yourself from now on, pay attention when it's time to I did it to myself last night, honestly. I didn't say, park mobile in my phone. And we parked, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's not in 1Password. What was the password? What is that?" And it just took me forever. I mean, we stood there for 15 minutes while I was trying to figure out the stupid password. Created a new account,
Oh,
right? I
yeah.
created a new account because I was like, "What in the world?" So it does. It stresses you out. It takes up way too much of your time. So your passwords and your files, it's an organization thing. Sounds small, but I'm telling you, if you do it, you're gonna come over and you're gonna want to hug us.
I was very proud. Yesterday, we had a client who sold his business and he moved. And we were talking yesterday. I was helping him transition things over to the new owner. And when I said something about the password, and I was like, "Hey, look, I'm going to change these passwords so that he has them." And I changed his. Well, he couldn't remember his Facebook passwords. Then we ended up figuring it out. And he was like, "Hold on a second. I've got to save this in 1Password because I didn't have it in there." And so I was like,
Ah, that's great.
oh, so proud of him because we told him, obviously he didn't say that before, but we figured it out and we got it. Actually, I think that Facebook just made him change it for some reason. I don't exactly, I think because he's moved out of state and I was logging in for him in Maryland, it Facebook just made him change it. So we changed, he put in my password, we changed the email address that was associated with it and everything. And he was like, okay, all right, so this is what it is. I'm going to put in one password. And I'm like, thank you. Like, I'm so glad. If there's one thing that you get from us, that's a huge thing. Like,
It's a
just
huge, huge
organize your
thing.
time. And it saves time, because if you have to go and reset your password every time you go in, that costs time. Time costs money,
Absolutely.
and it also causes you stress.
Well, and I will tell you, most people don't think to reset their password right away, right?
Mhm.
So before they do that, they spend 15 minutes trying to figure it out. They can't, they get stressed, they get aggravated, they get pissed off. They're just, it's awful. So organizing your files, having a password vault, those small things, those things that seem so small,
Mhm.
it is why because we have processes like that in place, it's why we can manage 50 clients,
Yeah.
right? It's why we can do that. So do that. Pay attention to that. All right, let's move on real quick. I want to remind you that we have a blog. It's asmmdigital.com/blog. Over there, you're going to find so much information. We're constantly adding. We do it every week. We add at least one blog every single Monday. Sometimes we'll add two if I have an idea over the weekend that I'm like, I can't resist, I'm going to put it up. I'm not very good at waiting. I'm one of those people that go and buy your Christmas present in November and give it to you before Christmas. I can't wait. So sometimes I do that. But go over, see what's there. If you have questions, ask us or look them up on the blog. You will find them there. We have got a lot of great information on that blog. So please do go over and check it out. Anything else from you, Anastasia?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that we talk about and BNI. Actually in a lot of things. I think the same goes for a lot of our clients. What we provide our clients is time to do what they do best or do what they love to do and want to do. And I think that this episode, is just think about your time. Think about how valuable your time is, and so that you can make this process and just come up with it, and so that it decreases your stress and it decreases the time that you need. And I will say
Absolutely.
100%, I'm going to tell you now, if you don't have a process, you might stick with this, but when you come back in 6 months or 3 months or 2 weeks, however long you able
It's
to
usually 3 weeks, right? It's 3
however
weeks.
long you're able to schedule out, you will not come back to it. You will not do it. So it's
You
very, very.
know, I just added this based on what you were saying. We have a content calendar. So let me tell you, I'm gonna give you the absolute truth. No matter how organized you are, no matter how wonderful you are, no matter what your good intentions are, the most I've ever seen somebody stay on process and stay consistent with their social media, stay consistent with their email marketing is 3 weeks. That's the most I've ever seen anybody do it. And the reason is because they don't have the process set in stone. They don't have the content. They don't know how to create it. So we created a content calendar. This thing is invaluable. I just got a call from a theater we're working with up in New York, and they're like, "Oh my God, between this and using Zoho Social and you teaching us how to do that, it has changed everything."
Mhm.
And it shows in what they're doing. I've been watching them. They have the content calendar. They have been doing it, and they have gone over 3 weeks. They have been doing it for a couple of months now, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So that content calendar is something that we sell. There's a package you can get. There's a number of ways you can do it. One way you can do it is to just buy the content calendar with one branding session with us, where we go over it. We help you fill it in. We make sure it's working for you so that you walk away with content to use on your social media. That's one way. The other way is the way this theater in New York is doing it. They have people who they want to really train. So we did that first session, and then every single month we're meeting with them to help them come up with that next month. What's going to happen next? What do you do next? What should we add email now? What are those next steps to really flush out your social media or your, not just your social media marketing, your entire marketing program. So that's a kind of a higher level of that content calendar. But it's only a 6 month for that. That's 6 months. You sign with us. We stay with you for 6 months, and then you should be able to, at the end of it, to take it and run with it. Maybe have somebody on staff who's running with it. We can help you with that too. So if you're interested in that, message me at ASMMdigital.com. ANN, there's no E on that. ANN at ASMMdigital.com. And we will get back in touch with you and help you figure out how to use this content calendar. It's very, very helpful. All right. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you are enjoying the summer, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.